What's up, everyone? Today we are going to be talking about the single most important decision that you're going to make throughout this entire process. And it's not what color shirt you or your avatar is wearing in your videos, or even the name of your channel or business. It's none of those. Today we're going to be talking about what you're going to be teaching or talking about, which is your niche and who you're going to be teaching it to, meaning your viewer or customer avatar, the people that are going to be consuming your content and ultimately becoming your customers. So this section is really for those who are just starting out. Some of you might already have a business. That's totally okay. You can really bypass a lot of this section. But it is always good to just get some clarity on who your customer profile is. And again, refining, your offer and what you bring to the table from both a content and also a product standpoint. So if you're already running in a niche that you're 100% happy with, again, you can just go ahead and skip kind of through this section. But we're going to start off by teaching you which niche is right for you. And before we do that, I think it's important to understand, why do we need a niche anyways? So in terms of YouTube, it's a lot harder to grow if you don't have a niche. Maybe 5 to 7 years ago, you could come onto YouTube and one day you could do pranks, another day you could do a vlog, and people kind of followed people on YouTube or subscribed to people on YouTube because they just wanted entertaining content. They just wanted to follow people that they enjoyed on YouTube. And then YouTube eventually became more saturated and more specific. And so instead of somebody talking about, let's say, history, now there are specific channels for certain time periods of history. And that's just one example of niching down. Another one would be like health. If you looked at health, you can break health into mental and physical health. And then you can even take it a step further and look at mental health and go psychology, self-care, relationships, all sorts of things. Physical health, there's the symptom stuff, there's skincare, there's fitness, there's this new kind of opening that we've seen the last couple years where people are talking about like all the natural forms of health, like sunlight and grounding. So there's all these sub niches of bigger niches. So it's very important to really decide on what topic your channel is going to be about, because I'm going to be really honest with you. If you just come onto YouTube and start talking about random stuff, you're never going to see any traction in today's climate because people don't really care about you yet. What they care about is valuable information. And ultimately, over time, as you start getting traction and fans and subscribers, you can start expanding your niche outside of that original space that you kind of talk about. But for now, we really need to focus on providing value within one niche where people can come to our channel and they can go through 20 of our videos at a time, knowing what to expect, that it's all going to be about the same similar theme or genre of topics, and get a lot of value from it. So it's not just me though. YouTube themselves have said this about the topic: connect with communities of interest. When creators first start out, many assume that it's best to make their videos appeal to the broadest audience possible. However, we've seen creators find success by tapping into smaller, passionate niche communities. These niches vary in size from huge communities like those who play Fortnite to smaller communities like antique car collectors. Groups like these are seldom served by traditional media, so they are usually more enthusiastic when they find a show tailored to their interests, and this enthusiasm can lead to more views, watch time, and engagement. Viewers feel they've found a show made specifically for them. But even more interestingly, just in terms of helping people, making money, and growing your business, the riches are really in the specific niches. So if you try to help everybody with everything going on in their life, then you're not really going to end up helping anybody, because just the way the algorithm works and stuff like that, like it just doesn't fly. Like you can't talk about how to put together a 1950s Mustang one day and then talk about basketball advice the next day. People just won't care. You'll get totally washed away despite how great your information might actually end up being. And so for you, for whatever niche you end up choosing, this is why I would actually recommend that you never kind of brand yourself as some general life coach or something like that, because that's just so broad and unspecialized, like you might actually be helping people with whatever mindset and goal setting and losing weight, all these different things that you might be tapping into. But people really want a specialist, not a generalist. If I get hurt, I want to go talk, or if I hurt my shoulder, I want to go talk to a doctor specifically for my shoulder. I don't want to go to my normal family doctor because I know that he's just going to have to pass me on to somebody else. And same comes for YouTube. I want somebody who's been through what I've gone through or is an expert about what I'm talking about and what I'm looking for, rather than somebody who's kind of all over the place. Another example is if I wanted help with losing weight, I'd be a lot more inclined to listen and obviously buy from somebody who's actually gone through the process or helped other people lose weight, rather than some random general person who says that they do weight, mindset, business, all these different things. They can help you with everything. Like, I want somebody who's very specific for the problem I'm looking to solve in my life. So the bottom line is that having a clear niche is going to have a huge amount of advantages on your ultimate process with this journey. So next, the big question is, what should your niche actually be? And as I kind of alluded to earlier, everyone has something that they're better at than most people in this world. In fact, for most of us, it's probably quite a few things. You might know a lot more about YouTube or basketball or playing piano, or I'm sure you have some sorts of skills and hobbies that you're better at than the average person. And maybe right now, one specific thing is already coming to mind for you. And there's a high chance that you already probably have your niche and you're going to just start making videos about that specific thing and find success. But don't worry if that's not the case, or if you just want to go through the process of figuring out what the right kind of path for you to choose is. I'm going to give you a great exercise that we can do together to help pick that right niche for you. So the first stage is kind of brainstorming. And I have a document on this that I've attached that's going to help you find it. If you haven't tried this already, I think this is a very, very powerful worksheet that will help you kind of identify a sort of path to go on. It's called your Ikigai, and it's an ancient Japanese tradition to help find your calling in life, if you haven't heard of it before. So basically, it marries what you love, what the world needs more of, what you can be paid for, and what you're already good at. I would recommend that you go write down 4 to 5 of each of these. And then if you notice, there's some overlap between. So, what you love and what you're already good at, it's usually your passion. What you love versus what the world actually needs, that can be categorized as your mission. What the world needs versus what you could be paid for, they call that your vocation. And then what you could be paid for versus what you're already good at, they call that your profession. But the intersection of all 4 of these is called your Ikigai, and it's kind of your calling in life. And I'm not saying that you have to find this to be your YouTube channel, because maybe this isn't what you want to do forever, but it's another very powerful exercise just in general from like a personal standpoint that can also be helpful in kind of coming to the right decision here. Because again, this is a very important decision, and you want to make sure you choose something wise, because I've seen people, and actually myself included, on other social media platforms where you choose the wrong niche and you realize it after spending a bunch of time, money, and energy, and you're like, okay, I need to just wipe this. This isn't worth it, and pivot on to something else. But it's just going to basically ask you questions like, what do you enjoy doing? Where do you spend a lot of your free time? What subjects would you be able to have just a deep conversation with a stranger about for hours? What kind of hobbies, interests, or topics do you enjoy the most? What are you maybe better at or receive a lot of praise from in your life? And we want a big list of ideas. Try not to just keep coming back to the same one. That might end up happening. And again, kind of points you in the right direction. But I want a big list. So list as many things for these answers as possible, because we're going to really try to narrow down on the right one for you afterwards. And that brings us to our next step, which is creating a short list. Now, we're going to go through every item that we've compiled from that original list and really come down to the next 2 criteria, which is one, that you're good enough or have enough knowledge about it that you're able to actually help other people. And remember, you don't have to be the greatest guru in the world at it, but you just have to be able to provide some value to people who might be further behind where you're at with it. And then two is you're going to have to reasonably kind of like the topic that you're talking about. You can't just start making videos about something that you hate. You might be really, really good at math. You might hate it. I don't recommend choosing math because you're going to end up resenting it. It's not going to feel like fun. It's going to feel like a lot of work. And just trust me, you got to have some sort of a passion or enjoyment, because this is going to be kind of the algorithm you live inside of for the next foreseeable future as you kind of go along this journey. So essentially what we're looking at is something that you're both good at, have knowledge about, and enjoy talking about or doing. And that is going to be the biggest thing that has the most potential for your specific niche. And then after you kind of land on something, you want to kind of ask a couple questions. Is this too broad or is this too specific? Because we really want to find kind of a general sweet spot in the middle of those. We don't want it to be way, way too big of a space, like the life coach example, but we also don't want to be, 1950s Mustangs only, because I don't know how many 1950s there actually might be a lot of 1950s Mustangs customers. I'm not really sure. I'm not a car person, but you don't want to be too specific that there's just nobody out there who cares about what you're talking about, even if the information is really, really high quality. So once you've determined something that has all the things we talked about earlier, you're passionate about it, you're good at it, and you're in the right sweet spot for it being not too specific, but not too general, then the next step is to make sure that there's some sort of a business monetizable element that we're going to be able to create from it. You don't have to go ahead and figure out exactly what your product is going to be right now. That's not in this module. That's going to come later on. But we do need to just be conscious about the fact that we're going to hopefully be making a monetizable product that is very, very successful for everyone who's watching our content. And so if you have some items on your short list that are like nutrition, marketing, dating, these are all great because they obviously have audiences where people are wanting to learn more about those topics. They're wanting to get better at them or improve those areas of their life. And that means that you're going to be able to sell paid products or services that you're going to create, such as either a coaching program or a digital product or some sort of a system or one-on-one consulting program that you can help with. But you also really need to kind of use some common sense about the fact that some niches just might not be something that you're going to be able to monetize super well. You want to have something that isn't a physical product. Like if your channel is all about the best candles in the world, it might be really difficult to make a digital product that people will want to buy relating to candles. That might be better to do for a physical product. That's okay. It's not going to be as profitable as doing something with a digital product. You'll understand more later on. But really just use some common sense here about, hey, is this something that I can create some demand and hype around and people are going to actually want to buy that are interested in watching my videos? So think that through. And I do want to mention that some of the areas that I've seen most people spend the most money on are really anything that can help them either organize themselves to make more money, follow a path to make more money. That's a big one. Obviously, their relationships, and relationships are the biggest point of living, in my opinion. And so anytime that somebody is able to help improve your relationships, whether that's dating, your family, your friends, your social circle, all that kind of stuff, that's very, very profitable as well. And then obviously people want to learn new skills in general. So if it's something like piano or even, how to use Notion or Excel or something that you might have a lot of knowledge with already, those are monetizable skills. And just as a side note, personally, this is an example. I never had learned how to use Excel properly. I had used it a little bit in college and then kind of self-taught myself. And recently I bought a course on how to use Excel because I was like, enough. I need to learn how to do this quicker than the way I'm doing it. So I went and I bought an Excel course. And that's just an example that you should use while you're kind of thinking about, okay, what niche is right for me? So the last step in this process is to really come down to the best couple that you have and make a decision. I do want to just say that you shouldn't be thinking, oh, which one is going to make me the most money? Because trust me, again, like take it from somebody who's spent a lot of time making content about a lot of different topics. If you end up pigeonholing yourself into a topic that might end up making you a lot of money, we'll see, but you absolutely hate it or resent it or don't want to be making content on it every single day, it's not the one for you. Think about something that you have excitement about and that you really want to go make some YouTube videos about. And that, as long as there's a market for some sort of a product behind it, that's probably your best call. Another question you want to ask yourself is what makes a good niche for YouTube? So there are a few things. One is the audience, meaning where your audience is based, who they are, their age, their demographic, their gender, all these kinds of things are important because in terms of like YouTube AdSense, that is how YouTube decides how much your CPM is or your cost per mille. Your cost per mille is the amount that an advertiser pays to be in front of your video or your audience. And so I'll just give you an example. Like a meme page, for example, is going to have a low CPM because the people who are watching a meme page content thing is going to be a lot less inclined to spend money on some sort of a product than an audience who is specifically watching to improve either their productivity or their health or something like that. So my other channel, Insights Lab, has a CPM of over $12 now. And that's because most of the people are from the United States, England, and Canada. They care about their health. They're between the ages of 25 and 34. And overall, they're following this page to improve some area of their life, which is health, which people spend a lot of money on because arguably health is like the most important thing to all of us. When we lose our health, everything else goes out the window. So what else makes a good niche? Kind of like what we were talking about already, your interest level, your knowledge base within that niche. And then another thing to consider is market saturation. How many other people are talking about this kind of content right now? And then finally, finding something that's trendy. And this is something that I think a lot of people who are on YouTube completely forget to mention conveniently for you. So you want to find a niche that's relevant. For example, cryptocurrency, while still somewhat relevant, would have been way more relevant 3 to 5 years ago to talk about. If you started a crypto channel today, it's probably going to be a lot more difficult to grow than it would have been 3 to 5 years ago. But if you started a channel today about AI or artificial intelligence, that's like the most searched internet trend in internet history right now. And that's going to be much more easy to kind of generate new views because people are searching for it. So those are some things to consider when you're kind of coming to your niche. And I did compile a list just in general for YouTube specifically. This has nothing to do with your skills, but for CPMs on YouTube that have some really high CPMs, I dropped also a PDF with some high CPMs that I've researched in the past with some example channels. So this would indicate that their viewers are likely to buy, which is why they have such high CPMs. So we can just run through a few of these things like email marketing, selling houses, e-commerce, law, credit cards, attorneys, casinos, online businesses, cryptocurrency, drop shipping, weight loss, credit, career advice, auto repair, personal finance, investing. These are all things that have very high CPMs. And that is definitely something worth considering. And again, I mentioned I have a PDF below that has some more specific examples for you to be thinking about while you're doing this. And then additionally, if any of you are just totally stonewalled right now on which direction to go, that's okay. There's a couple fail-safe kind of backup options for you. One is you need to go get some skills. So for me, I could have never started a successful YouTube channel like 8 or 9 years ago without having all the experience and knowledge that I have with all the different social media accounts I've built over time. And so 8 or 9 years ago, I would not have been able to do this. So what do we learn from that? you might need to go get some experience with, a niche or topic that you're interested in. And that's okay. It doesn't take that long to kind of go test some things in different niches and find something that you're good at. But another one is really just ask yourself, what would I most want to learn about and become really good at? Because what you're going to be doing is making videos, and you're also, through making these videos, will probably be learning some new things about these topics. So if you can just pick some sort of a niche or topic that you're super interested in, that you want to learn more about and become one of the best people and most expert type of people on YouTube about it, that's also a great strategy too. Just in case you kind of don't know where to start and are struggling to kind of pinpoint the direction that you want to go down. So hopefully for now, you have some sort of an idea about the niche that you want to be in. I will say that these action items I'm linking below are super powerful in helping you get there. But again, guys, just as long as you have a general topic that you're kind of interested in pursuing, your niche is probably going to evolve naturally, organically on its own. You're going to have a video go kind of viral that you're going to be like, okay, now I'm starting to understand my audience and my niche a little bit more. And that's okay. So you don't have to force it. And so I hope that this lesson was helpful for you to identify the right route or path that you want to move forward with here. Another thing that's worth mentioning when it comes to niches is that it's much easier to break into an emerging niche than it is to break into a niche that's been out there for a really long time. I'll give you a couple examples. So a couple years ago in 2020, obviously with everything that was going on with the pandemic, mental health became a very new, trendy, almost topic. And there was kind of a gold rush to mental health content online. So we saw a lot of creators on Instagram. You've probably seen them coming out there. I had success in this niche personally with Instagram. And so getting there first is much easier. Another example was in, I guess, really the end of 2022, early 2023, when AI became this very, very trendy topic. The creators who started talking about AI earliest were the ones who really dominated that niche. Now, that's not to say that you can't break into an already existing niche. I've seen channels who have gotten into the scary story niche and they've grown by about 1 million subscribers over 2 years, relatively easily. But when you're breaking into an already existing niche, then your content needs to really stand out, meaning the quality, the information, the production, those things need to be better than the people who are already in your niche doing it. Another thing that I want to mention about like the evolution of, are you always pigeonholed as this person in this niche? And my take on this is at the beginning, you need to be very, very narrow in your niche and really deliver information, that kind of stuff. But eventually you do expand over time. A good example of this would be someone like Iman Gadzhi. He started out making content about SMMA, which is like social media marketing, and his journey with that business. But over time, his niche really got away from that, and it became much more about online entrepreneurship and kind of just him and his personal interests and what he's doing as in general. If you look at Joe Rogan, like his niche is not people who are interested in politics and health and MMA, like UFC. Like that's not his niche. He introduced some of those topics which are interesting to him to his audience over time, and that just became the niche. So there's kind of a crossing point as you grow where your audience eventually gets big and you're able to widen your niche and expand out of the original topic that you started in. But early on, it is very important to really focus in and hone in on that niche that you're starting out on and really make good content, whether you're emerging in an emerging niche or you're breaking into an already existing niche. All right, so your first action items of this program are to fill out the Ikigai worksheet. Doesn't necessarily have to point you in the direction of your channel, but it's a very powerful method to just really understand yourself, become a little bit more self-aware, and kind of determine which path you're going to be choosing with your niche. So fill that out and then go ahead and fill out the niche definition worksheet. So this is going to help you get really clear on your audience, what their issues are, what they're looking to solve, and ultimately for you, what the best niche is to position yourself as an expert within, not only to provide value for other people, but also to, something that you're going to be interested in pursuing over the future for however long this becomes either your career for the next couple of years or long term, however you end up playing this whole thing out. So those are your 2 action items. By the end of this, you should have a very good sense of what your niche is. And I'll see you in the next module where we will get even more clear and more defined on your niche and which products ultimately will end up being able to use within that. So good job. Feel these out, and I'll see you in the next one.